Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into what honestly reads like an epic manga-style blueprint for the future. We're looking at the African Futures Exchange, or AFX for short. Now, this isn't just your standard run-of-the-mill business plan. It's a highly confidential 2026 manifesto to build the ultimate origin story. We're talking about a real-world superhero academy.
To really set the scene here, think about the incredible potential energy at play. By the year 2050, literally 1 in 4 people on Earth will be African. That means we have a continent absolutely bursting with the youth and raw power needed to be the heroes of the next century. But, as you know, every great graphic novel has to start with a massive crisis, right?
So that brings us to Section 1, the broken talent pipeline, or, as we like to call it, the villain of our story.
To understand the scale of this threat, we have to look closely at the broken machinery of the current system. The AFX manifesto diagnoses this specifically as a routing problem. See, the raw superpower, the talent itself, is already there. Africa produces exceptional, world-changing individuals every single generation. But the pathways connecting that talent to actual opportunity, they're completely broken. It's like navigating a labyrinth with no exit. The dedicated academy needed to focus and deploy these young heroes is just entirely missing.
Take a look at this contrast. In the old system, potential heroes are handed temporary scholarships, or they're flown out to one-off conferences where they talk for a few days, take a group photo, and go home. Basically, they're given participation trophies. But AFX? They envision the exact opposite. They want a permanent squad. They're building continuous networks, forging an African-rooted identity, and securing permanent job placements. No more temporary sidekicks. They're building the main roster.
Let's move on to Section 2. Enter African Futures Exchange. And here's where we look at their superhero code.
To fight this broken system, AFX proposes a hybrid physical and digital academy that's bound by an ironclad code of honor. First off, physical gathering is irreplaceable. They believe real trust is forged in the real world, not behind a Zoom screen. Second, diversity has to be mathematically engineered. Third, and this is absolutely crucial, outcomes over outputs. Actual real-world career placement is the only metric that matters to them. And finally, scarcity is quality control. They want an elite, tightly knit squad of 15, not some diluted platform with 15,000 random users. Honestly, the entire manifesto boils down to this one incredibly punchy battle cry. They aren't building a temporary event. They aren't handing out charity checks. They are building a permanent, living, breathing system.
All right, Section 3, the Hero Training Arcs. Let's break down the 5 core modules of AFX.
Every great academy needs a curriculum, right? And the participant journey here reads exactly like a classic manga training arc. Step 1, heroes face a brutal selection process. Step 2, they have to survive an intense physical expedition. Step 3, they team up and collaborate in a virtual cohort. Step 4, they're actively deployed into high-stakes pathways jobs. And finally, Step 5, they return to the academy as mentors, completely closing the loop to train the next generation.
Let's zoom in a bit on the crucible itself. This is Module 1, the expedition. Before anyone even opens a laptop, they endure a 7 to 10-day high-intensity physical gathering in a rotating African host country. Through serious leadership simulations and startup challenges, they forge the kind of cross-border trust you really only get from surviving the trenches together.
Then we hit Module 3, or Pathways. And guys, this isn't your high school guidance counselor politely handing you a pamphlet. This is active career engineering. AFX takes these newly forged leaders and drops them straight into top-tier multinational roles. Remember that code of honor we talked about? They measure real-world heroic deployments, not just who managed to finish their homework.
Moving along to Section 4, Engineering a Diverse Squad. Let's look at the anatomy of a roster.
So how do you make sure this superhero squad actually represents the whole continent and isn't just captured by a privileged few? Well, AFX uses hard math. There's a strict, non-negotiable floor. 60% of the recruits must be continental Africans, with a maximum of 40% coming from the global diaspora in places like London or Toronto. Crashing these very different lived experiences together is designed to generate an incredibly powerful creative tension.
Plus, to stop just a few massive countries from dominating the roster, they enforce a hard 15% nationality cap. Basically, no single passport can make up more than 15% of the squad. It forces true cross-pollination, making sure literally every corner of the map gets representation.
All right, Section 5, Funding the Future Academy. It's time to find our heroic benefactors.
Look, building a state-of-the-art academy takes serious resources, but AFX isn't out here rattling a tin cup. They boldly state that traditional philanthropy just creates dependency. They don't want charity. They're looking for their own Tony Starks and Bruce Waynes. They want aligned capital from billionaires whose own empires will directly financially benefit from hiring these elite, superpowered graduates.
To bring these heavy hitters on board, the foundation avoids any messy legal battles over company shares. Instead, they push something really clever called a dividend pledge. Simply put, the benefactor just pledges a percentage of the cash their empire generates every single year. It keeps the legal mechanics super clean while ensuring the benefactor remains personally, financially invested in the academy's ultimate success.
But you know, a true academy needs its own internal power source, kind of like an arc reactor. So the AFX operating company is designed from day one to become completely financially independent. They'll generate their own revenue through expedition fees, corporate sponsorships, and by taking a 10 to 15% placement commission from the massive corporations that end up hiring their graduates.
And the numbers show this financial engine scaling up fast. The blueprint projects a really lean $220,000 pilot in year 1, but by year 5, they're projecting nearly $2 million in sustainable system fueling revenue. That covers all their operational costs and actually runs a surplus to keep the academy thriving long term.
Which brings us to our final section, Section 6, the final mission, launching Stage 0. Before a single recruit can don the uniform, the creators have to execute Stage 0. It's basically a meticulous assembly montage. We're talking legal incorporation in month 1, ironclad safeguarding rules in month 2, and securing those big employer partners by month 4. It's only at month 8 that they finally launch the pilot expedition. They are intentionally building the infrastructure slowly, making absolutely sure the base doesn't collapse under its own weight.
That leaves us with an ultimate cliffhanger. The manifesto says, "We are not asking anyone to take a leap of faith. We are asking them to read the specification. The blueprints are drawn. The youth are waiting in the wings for their origin story to begin. So, the only question left is, will you be the one to help assemble them?" Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. What kind of impact do you think an academy like this could actually have by 2050? Keep your eyes peeled for what AFX does next.